Hello, and welcome to my channel, knottygnome Crafts. My name is Sarah, and you can find me as knottygnome on Instagram. Whether you are a new or returning viewer, thank you so much for joining me today, and it's time for another Friday Sews. I have so many finished objects to show today, and because I have absolutely no self-control, I also have a mini pattern haul that I will be talking about at the very end of the video, so if you want to see what I picked up, stay tuned. But before we get started, I'm just going to share what I'm wearing today. I am wearing the Fiber Mood Paulette shirt that I finished last week out of this Sage Rayon Dobby that I got from fabric.com, and I will insert a picture so you can see the full view of the blouse. And I really like how this turned out. I wasn't quite sure about it after finishing it last week, but now that it's been washed and I'm wearing it and styling it, I do really like it. So, as I said at the beginning, I have so many things to talk about with you today. I had decided to set up my serger and my cover stitch and do a bunch of knits, and those always go really fast. So I actually have 6 finished things to talk with you about today. So the first 2 are actually going to be relatively brief because I am planning to do a full review video and comparison of these different patterns. But just quickly so that you know what they are, I made 2 ribbed tank tops. The first one is this Paradise Patterns Blama tank, and I made a size 2 in this top, and the next one was the Vicky Sews Veronica tank, and I made a size 36 in this one. And both of these fabrics are bamboo rib knits from Blackbird Fabrics. They're the exact same type of fabric because I wanted to do like a one-to-one comparison. So I wanted both fabrics to be the same. And if you're interested in getting my thoughts on those 2 patterns and which one I like better, I will be posting a review on my channel probably later on in June. So the next thing that I made was the New Look 6554 Romper. Here is the pattern cover. So this has options for a knee length or maxi length dress, or you can make a jumpsuit. And I made the jumpsuit view, but I cut off the legs into shorts. And I made the size, actually I blended between 3 different sizes. I made a size 6 in the bust, I made a size 8 in the waist, and I graded to a 10 at the hip. And normally the size 6 would be too tight in the arm side, but because this pattern actually has a grown-on sleeve, I thought that the 6 would be fine, and it was. And the reason I chose the size 6 is because for the bust measurement, for the finished garment measurements for size 6 was 36 inches. My bust is 33 inches, and I did not want to do the size 8 finished bust, which was 37, because 4 inches of positive ease in the bust just seemed like too much. So I'm really glad that I went from a 6 up to the 10 at the hip. So the fabric that I used is this cotton spandex jersey that I got from Joann Fabrics. And in order to make the shorts, I actually just used another romper pattern that was shorts, and I kind of, because the hem of the shorts is a little bit curved, so I just copied the length of the short and then the curve at the hem so that I could get a nice shape, and that worked really well. I took notes this time because I'm always forgetting things, so pardon me if I'm looking down. So for alterations, I added 5/8 of an inch to the rise on both the front and the back. I just used my L-shaped ruler and compared that the pattern to my body measurements. So I needed to add 5/8 of an inch for front and back, and then I also added an additional 3/16 of an inch just at the center back. So the center back had the 5/8 plus another 3/16. Now, for construction, I did make one change. The pattern tells you to finish the front or the neckline with pre-made woven bias tape. And I just thought that that was a little bit weird, and I didn't want to do that. And so instead I did a neckband. So all I did was I sewed the shoulder seam so that I knew how long the neckline was. And then I cut a strip of fabric and just kind of stretched it along the neckline until I got the length that I wanted, and then I just serged it on like you would any sort of t-shirt neckband. Now I did actually cut it too short, and so on the inside where you can't even see it, I did have to do a join where I added an additional, I think it was like 4 inches or 3 or 4 inches, because my first neckband wasn't long enough. But because this is a wrap, it totally covers it and you can't see it. And then I just cover stitched over the neckband, and I think that that turned out perfectly fine. What else? See, this is why I write things down. What else did I have to say about this? Oh, so I'm kind of undecided on whether or not the bodice is too long. I'm just a little bit unsure because I've never worn a romper before. I don't know how they're supposed to fit. But if I pull the romper so that the elastic is like not bloused at all, it's too long. But if I kind of pull it up to my natural, where the elastic sits at my natural waist, the top part is a little bit billowy and blousy, almost looks like it's tucked in, and then it fits. So I'm not sure if it's supposed to be blousy or not, but either way, it feels fine, it's very comfortable. One thing that I may go back and do that I just haven't done yet because I'm lazy is that, so you do need this opening to be wide so that you can get it on and off over your shoulders, but it is like super gapey, and so it wants to flap open. And it's not just my version. I've looked up this pattern on Instagram, and it looks like several people had the same issue. And so technically I should probably just sew in a little snap so that I can keep the neckline closed a little bit better. But because I actually don't really plan on wearing this outside the house, I haven't done it, and I don't know that I will, just because I don't really care if it's just me and my husband. But if I wanted to make the dress version, or definitely if I wanted to wear this out, I think that it's a really good idea to put a little snap there so it doesn't gape open. Now, how do I feel about this? I can't believe that I'm saying this, but I think that I have become a romper convert. When I finished it and tried it on, it was so incredibly comfortable that I didn't want to take it off. I basically just wore it for the rest of the evening. And my husband, when he saw me in it, he asked me if I was joining a hippie commune, and I told him no, but that I had given up on life. And he said, it looks like it. So I just thought that was really funny. But yeah, like this is just so incredibly comfortable to wear that I wouldn't even rule out making another one of these eventually. I do have 2 other romper patterns that I want to try first and see how I like them, but I do really, really like this, and I'm almost a little bit ashamed of it, but whatever, it's super comfy. So I will definitely be wearing this around the house on odd days. Okay, so next on my finished object list is Mccall's 8058, and here is the pattern cover. This is a very simple t-shirt dress, and there are a number of different options. I went with view A that the model is wearing. It's the short sleeves with the crew neck in the knee length. And I used this cotton spandex jersey that I got from Style Maker Fabrics. And basically, I am absolutely in love with this dress. The only thing about the pattern that I didn't like is that the instructions tell you to just turn the neck under and top stitch it down. And I was like, why would you do that? So the pattern does come with a neckband piece, because for the V-neck, you do attach a neckline. So I just used the V-neck piece and then folded it over and kind of like stretched it around the neckline to see how long it needed to be, and then cut it off. And then I just attached it like you would any sort of t-shirt neckband. Other than that, I didn't even look at the instructions because this is basically just a t-shirt. I don't need instructions for that. So it was very, very easy and quick to put together. And the only other thing that I would change in the future, because I definitely think this is going to become a TNT pattern for me, is that I do want to edit the neckline, because Big 4 patterns are pretty consistent about always using 5/8 inch seams. And for me, I think that for a knit neckband, you should really be doing a 3/8 of an inch seam, because it's just easier to be accurate. And so I think that I would go back in and just shape the pattern pieces and the neckband piece so that you can do a 3/8 of an inch seam here. Other than that, it's perfect. I did shorten the dress. How much did I shorten it? I shortened the skirt for 4 inches so that it hits me above the knee. Oh, and I made the size 8 at the top and I graded to a 10 at the hip, and I think that that sizing is pretty spot on for me. So I will insert a picture of me wearing the dress, and the thing about this one that it was just sort of a nice reminder is that this sort of style, this silhouette, looks really good on me. And so sometimes I get like really enamored with trying new things that I never tried before, and I don't think that that's bad. I think it's good to expand your horizons, but I just need to remind myself every once in a while to just make some things that I know that look good on me and I'm gonna feel comfortable in, because when I finished the dress and put it on, I was like, I feel amazing. And it's just nice to have that feeling. And yeah, I don't know why I don't make more things that I know are gonna look good on me. That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it was just a nice reminder of like, this silhouette is really good for my figure, and just every once in a while, like do something that you know looks nice. That's all I wanted to say about that one. So which actually kind of segues into the last thing, the last sewn garment that I made this week, which is the Mccall's 8020. I made view A, which has more of an A-line skirt, and then it has the flutter sleeve. And I used another cotton spandex jersey that I got from Style Maker Fabrics. So this dress was definitely, I wasn't sure it was gonna look good on me, and I kind of really don't like it. So first I'll tell you the basics of the pattern. So I made the straight size 8. Oh wait, sorry. Yeah, so I made the straight size 8. I didn't do any grading. I shortened the skirt by 2 inches, and then I did end up hemming it a little bit deeper. And so overall, I think I probably shortened it around like 2.5 inches, and it hits me right above the knee. I only kind of follow the directions. So you're supposed to use elastic to finish the neckline, and I used clear elastic instead of regular elastic, but I did make a mistake that you're supposed to sandwich the elastic like underneath, like sandwich it in between the folded over part so that it's not visible. And like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I ended up having my elastic like on the outside, which is totally not supposed to be, but I knew that I was gonna cover stitch over it, and so I figured it wasn't that big of a deal, and it wasn't, but technically I did that part wrong. I am really happy with how this little like curved section with the gathers, I think that went together actually really smoothly, and I was happy with that. And once I had attached these bodice pieces to the front dress, after that I didn't follow the directions. I just put it together like you would a t-shirt, a normal t-shirt. And so here's what I don't like about this dress. I don't like the flutter sleeves. I thought for a long time that I didn't like flutter sleeves, and then I made the Victory Pattern Sophia dress and I liked those sleeves. So I was like, maybe I do like flutter sleeves, but now I'm back to thinking that I don't. I think the difference is, so this is a cotton spandex jersey, and so the, even though it's a knit, it's not super drapey, it kind of like holds its shape. And I think that I very strongly prefer softer, if I'm gonna do a flutter sleeve, it needs to be a softer, drapier fabric that's just gonna like lay there like this ruffle does. If it poofs out at all, it just really emphasizes my shoulders, and I'm just not keen on that. The other thing that I think is the difference between this and the Sophia is that this cuts off at the widest part of my arm. And not that I have like super beefy arms or something, but my body type generally tends to be somewhat muscular, and I feel like the flutter sleeve cuts off right at the widest part of my bicep. So I just look like I'm trying to show off the guns or something, and I don't know, that's not really what I wanted, especially because this sleeve is very like soft and romantic, and so I just feel like it looks weird to have this like girly sleeve, you know, pointing to my arm muscles. But anyway, I just don't really like it. And the other thing that kind of surprised me is I'm not in love with the A-line shape on me, which is weird because A-line skirts look good on everybody, but I guess like maybe I'm an exception, I don't know. but I kind of was like looking in the mirror and I just kind of pulled the skirt back to make it more of a straight silhouette. And I just think that looks way better on me, especially with the wider sleeve. So I actually do want to make this pattern again because I really love the way, I really love the way that this neckline looks on me. I was a little bit worried that it was going to be too like in the club or something, but it's totally not. It looks really nice and graceful. And so if I made this again, I actually think that I would do it sleeveless and then just do like the bodycon version. And I think that I would like that a lot better than this one. I will still wear this one. It's a cotton jersey. It's very comfortable, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not what I envisioned in my head, and I'm a little bit disappointed in it. So I almost forgot, I did promise in my Wednesday Me Made May video to talk about this top and what I did to alter it. So this is the Mccall's 7900, and originally it had, I made the view that had the puff sleeves that were short sleeves but very puffy, and they gathered at the cuff with elastic, kind of similar to this one but with elastic instead of shearing. And I will insert a picture of the original here. And it's made out of a cotton shirting fabric, and I hated it. I hated that shirt. I made that shirt because I wanted to try the puff sleeve trend, and I just absolutely hated it every time I put it on. And I even tried to alter it a little bit by removing the elastic casing at the bottom of the cuff so that it was still a puffy sleeve, but it was loose at the bottom, and I hated that too. I think that I'm not completely anti-puff sleeve, but like I said before, with like these softer fabrics, I just really need a soft fabric if I'm gonna do a statement sleeve. These stiffer like cottons and linens and stuff, it's just too much in the shoulder area, and I just really, really don't like it. So it was a little bit of a pain in the neck because they had to rip out all the serging and stuff. But I did take off the sleeves, and I just finished I still had some of this fabric left. I finished the inside with single fold bias tape, and now that I've made the alteration, I do like this top so much better, and I think I'm gonna get way more wear out of it than I had previously. I think I had only worn it one time, and I was just like, oh my God, I hate this shirt. So I'm very glad that I took the time to remove the sleeves, and it was a nice little lesson that, again, like if I want to do a statement sleeve, it has to be in a soft fabric, because otherwise it just doesn't work for me. So the final finished object that I have to show you for today is actually a knitted project. I finished my rainbow opal socks. These actually turned out to be way more involved than I originally thought they were going to be for a vanilla sock. So I used an opal sock. I don't have the label anymore, so I don't know the colorway, but all of my sock yarn are all of my yarn. I haven't bought yarn for like 3 years, so nothing's probably available anymore. But this is a opal sock yarn that has sparkle in it, silver sparkle, you can kind of see it there. And I used size 0 Knit Picks wooden circular needles, and I did one at a time. And then I knit them toe up. So I did a rounded wedge toe, and I did a gusset increase with a heel flap, and then just a regular leg and 2x2 ribbing at the top. I used 64 stitches, which is my normal sock number. And I don't normally, my favorite method of knitting socks is actually cuff down with a heel flap. And if I knit toe up socks, I will often do a short row heel, but I don't know, I just wanted to try something different this time. I am the kind of person that doesn't like to do the same thing over and over and over, and so when I knit socks, I will often change up the way that I make them because I get bored otherwise. So the reason I said this is more involved than I intended it to be was because, as I talked about in one of my other Friday Sews videos, I was not originally planning to have my socks match. But at the last minute, I decided that I needed to make them match. And then on the second sock, I was working on the foot, and I found a knot in the skein. So I was just like, I hate it when that happens, but I hate it even more with self-striping yarn, because you have to cut the knot out and then wind the yarn until you get to the next striping sequence. And so I had to, not really waste, because I'll figure out a way to use it, but like I had to wind off a ton of yarn to make the socks match because of the stupid knot. So that annoyed me, but whatever, they're done. And I've already gone back to working on my pink diamond stitch sweater, but I'm not going to show it to you because it's really boring. So I'll show you that when I actually finish something. So yeah, that is all of the finished things that I have for this week. Okay, so let's talk patterns and how I have a problem. So I think that pattern designers need to just get together and agree to stop having sales, because I just can't. I get the sale email and then I'm like, ooh, it's a sale. So I did buy a few things today, actually. So I had gotten a notice that Style Arc was having a sale, 20% off their top patterns. And then I also had received a coupon code from them. It was one of those like, you haven't bought from us for a while, here's a coupon. And with Style Arc, you actually can stack coupon codes. So long story short, I was able to pick up two patterns, because you can, when you buy a pattern from Style Arc, you can select a free one. They have like 2 freebies of the month, and you make a purchase and you get to select which freebie you want. So I ended up getting 2 patterns for I think like $6, which just seems like a really good deal, and it was worth it. So that's why I did it. So the first pattern that I bought was the Brenda Blouse, and it is a button-up shirt that has ruching or gathering for the bust shaping, and I think it's just shaped with darts, and I think it's an elbow length or 3/4 length sleeve. So the reason that I picked up that pattern is because way back in the day, like I don't even know, like maybe 2010-ish, I had a Vogue pattern that was pretty similar in look. It had that ruching shaping over the bust, but it was princess themed, and I made that shirt and I really liked it, except that at the time I didn't know how to fit things, and so it was actually too tight. And so eventually I ended up getting rid of the shirt and also that pattern because I had cut the tissue and it was too small. So I don't have that pattern anymore, and I actually did look it up on eBay and Etsy just to see if I could find a copy, and there was only one available that I could find, and it was the larger size band than what I wear. And so because I couldn't find the original pattern, and I really do like that design, and like just a button-up shirt is a great option for work when I do eventually go back to the office. So I picked up that pattern, and I will have inserted the sizing charts. You can see the Style Arc size range. And then the free pattern that I chose to go along with that was the Phoenix sweatshirt. Now, I don't need a sweatshirt pattern right now, but I did like the lines of it, and I think it'll be good come fall. It's basically just a simple drop shoulder sweatshirt, but the difference is that you have a contrasting fabric. There's like a side panel that you can do in a contrast fabric, and I think it has pockets. So I've been looking more at picking up patterns that have color blocking options, because I'm really trying to find ways to use up leftover fabrics. I'm getting to the point, I have a shelf in my storage area where I just put all of my remnants after I make something, and it's just like overflowing, like stuff is literally falling on the floor because there's just so much leftovers. So I have been trying to look at ways to creatively use up some of my leftovers, and I thought that would be good for that. So that was the order that I placed at Style Arc. The second order that I placed is I made a fairly sizable order from Jennifer Lauren Handmade. She is having a 25% off sale. I'm pretty sure when I post this video, it's still gonna be going on. And the code is MeMade2021. So I will put a link in the description box so you can go check that out. But the reason that I bought so many patterns from her, I think I bought 6 of them, is because she's having the 25% off sale, and she also posted notice earlier this year that she will be increasing her prices sometime later this year. And so I figured that I should just pick up her patterns while they're on sale now at the lower price, and maybe it'll save me some money from buying them later on after she increases her prices. So the first one that I picked up is the Dulce Penifore, and it's a dress that's meant to be worn over other like blouses, and I liked that it has a square neckline and a button front, and it has a slight A-line shape. I have some denim that's been in my stash for ages that I think would be really good for this pattern, and it is the only pattern that I bought from her that comes in her full size range. So she is working on expanding her sizes, but like most of her patterns are not yet in the larger size range, but this one is. and I will have inserted the sizing charts and the diagrams so you can see what the pattern looks like. So that was the first one that I had bought. The second pattern that I picked up is the Sorelle Dress. I've been looking for a while to make this style of dress that has like a little fold back collar, and I've seen several versions on Instagram and on YouTube that I really liked, so I went ahead and bought that one. It has a nice A-line shape and it has pockets, and I think that all the rest of the ones that I'm going to talk about come in her more limited size range, which I think is a UK 6 to 24, and I will be putting the charts up here so you can see it. The Quincy Dress. So this one reminds me a little bit of the Darling ranges, but for reasons that I won't get into, I actually don't like the Darling ranges. This one has like a V-neck front and it buttons up to the waist, and then it has a drawstring waist, and then the skirt is just gathered, I think. And I just liked the silhouette of the dress. It looks comfortable. You don't have to put buttons all the way down, which is a plus for me because my machine sucks at buttonholes. And so that's why I picked up that one. It looks like a nice, comfortable summer dress. The next thing that I picked up was the Tunip Cardigan. I have been wanting to make this pattern for a little while. It just looks like a great layering piece. It does come in a short version and a long version, but I will probably only ever make the cropped version. The reason I really wanted this one is because I think it would be wonderful to wear over dresses. I mean, and other things too, but I just mostly for dresses, it looks like a good layering piece. So I went ahead and picked up the Juniper, and then I also picked up the Bronte top. There was a YouTuber, and I'm sorry I can't remember her name right now, but I will link it in the description box. I saw her, she's made several of the Bronte top recently, and I really liked, it's another color blocking opportunity. I think that you can, it has like a little shoulder detail, and you can use contrasting fabrics on the front or the back or the sleeves, and it just looked like a great way to use up leftovers. So that's why I picked up that pattern. And the last pattern that I picked up is the Hunter tank, which is actually going to be the first one that I'm making. I've actually already cut it out this morning. So the Hunter tank is a woven tank, and I think it has like a wide strap option or a narrow strap option, and then it just ties in the front. It's meant to be worn with high-waisted pants and skirts. And I was able to eke out enough. I had some leftover linen that I used to make my Palermo, my Palermo top. And I had enough leftover fabric to squeeze out the Hunter tank. So I will be making that next. And that is all I have for you this week. I feel like this one's gonna be extremely long, and I'm sorry about that. But I just had so many things to share with you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will be back next week.